What kind of man rides straight into a hanging and claims a woman he has never met as his wife? The desert morning burned red over Dry Creek when Jack Graves rode in. Dust hung in the air like smoke from hell's own fire, and the whole town stood gathered around the gallows tree. Eliza Monroe stood on a wooden crate, a rope tight around her neck. Her wrists were tied behind her back. Her faded blue dress was stained with dirt and fear she refused to show. The crowd watched like it was a show. Men spat tobacco. Women whispered poison. Somebody threw a rotten tomato that burst across her shoulder. Nobody cared she was only 22. Nobody cared she had spent 3 years serving drinks at Murphy's saloon just to stay alive. Nobody cared she was innocent. Sheriff Briggs unfolded a paper with shaking hands. "Eliza Monroe, you're sentenced to hang for the poisoning of Sam Murphy. Any last words?" Her voice was steady. "I didn't poison nobody. But truth don't matter to folks who already made up their minds." Laughter rose. The crate beneath her boots shook as someone kicked it. Then thunder roared. Not from the sky, but from a single black stallion charging down Main Street. Men stepped back as the rider skidded to a stop. He wore all black. His long coat, boots, hat, everything. 2 heavy Colts hung at his hips, and a rifle was strapped to his saddle. His gray eyes were cold enough to cut stone. Jack Graves, a name the whole territory whispered with fear. He swung down from his horse, pushing through the crowd as if they were grass. He stopped beneath the gallows and looked up at Eliza for a long, strange moment. Then he turned to the sheriff. "Cut her down!" The crowd gasped. Sheriff Briggs sputtered, "Jack, she's been tried and—" Jack pulled a folded paper from his coat. "She's my wife. Married her in San Antonio 6 months back. You hang her, you answer to me." The crowd exploded in shouting. Eliza's eyes widened. She had never seen this man in her life. Sam Murphy pushed forward, face purple with rage. "Liar! She ain't married. She's been workin' in my saloon." Jack stepped close, voice low and deadly. "Working because I asked her to. Watching your place while I handled business. And now you're trying to kill my wife with a lie." Murphy's mouth opened, then shut. The crowd shifted. No one wanted to stand between Jack Graves and his guns. Sheriff Briggs swallowed. "Jed, cut her down." The deputy climbed up and fumbled with the rope. When it came loose, Eliza's knees buckled. Jack caught her before she fell, one strong arm around her waist. "Easy," he whispered so only she could hear. "Play along if you want to live." She stared into his storm-gray eyes, hard, scared, and tired, like he had ridden through the night to get here. "I don't know you," she whispered. "You do now." He cut the rope from her wrists and took her hand, lifting it high so the crowd could see. "Come on, darling," he said loudly. "Let's go home." Murphy shouted behind them, "That paper could be fake! We want proof!" Jack didn't even turn around. "Proof? She wrote me letters every week about how you tried forcing your hands on her, about how she had to lock her door each night to keep you out." The crowd murmured. Murphy turned red. "She's lying! She doesn't have to lie," Jack growled, "but I might if it keeps her alive." His hand drifted toward his gun belt. The whole town froze. Sheriff Briggs lifted both hands. "Let him go!" quote. Jack kept his grip on Eliza as he guided her through the crowd, his hand firm on her elbow. When they reached the livery, she pulled her arm free. "Why did you do that?" she whispered. "Get on the horse." "No, not until you tell me the truth." He leaned close, voice low. "In 10 minutes, this town will remember they don't like me. In 20, they'll want us both dead. Either you ride with me or you hang alone. Choose." Her heart hammered. She didn't trust him. She didn't even understand him. But the rope mark still burned against her neck, and she knew one thing for certain. Dry Creek wanted her dead. She took his hand. Jack lifted her onto a painted mare already saddled. She stared at him. "You planned this?" "Yes." Before she could ask more, a shout rose from the street. "That ain't his wife. Stop him!" Jack swore under his breath. "Ride!" quote. Gunshots cracked behind them as they burst from town. Eliza bent low over the horse's neck as bullets tore up dust around her. Jack rode beside her. shouting over the thunder of hooves. "Don't look back! Keep riding north!" They fled across the open desert, the sun climbing high as Dry Creek shrank behind them. Dust rose like smoke from the horses' hooves. Shouts faded into distance. Still, Eliza sensed danger following them like a shadow. Hours later, Jack led them into a narrow canyon where the air was cooler. He dismounted first, then helped her down gently. "We rest 10 minutes," he said. Eliza stepped back from him, breathing hard, her hands shaking. "Tell me the truth," she demanded. "Why save me?" Jack didn't answer at first. He looked up at the canyon walls, scanning for danger. When he finally met her eyes, something raw flashed there. "Because," he said quietly, "you didn't deserve to die today." She swallowed hard. "And what do you want from me now?" He looked away. Later. "Tell me." "Not here." His eyes shifted to the canyon mouth. Dust floated in the air. Fresh dust. Riders. Jack grabbed the reins. "Mount up. They're tracking us." She climbed onto the horse, heart pounding. The chase wasn't over. It was only beginning. How far can two people run before the past catches them? The desert wind pressed against their backs as Jack and Eliza rode hard through the narrow canyon. Every hoofbeat echoed like a warning. The sound behind them grew louder. Riders. Many of them. Jack looked over his shoulder, jaw tight. Murphy's men. Faster than I expected. Eliza gripped the saddle horn until her knuckles turned white. Why won't they stop? Murphy is alive. They don't need me dead. They don't want justice, Jack said. They want revenge, and Murphy wants to feel powerful again. She didn't answer. Her throat had gone dry. Fear felt different now that she had escaped the rope. Before, death had seemed certain. Now it felt like something stalking her, waiting for its turn. Jack pointed ahead. This way. They veered into another canyon, steeper this time. Their horses climbed the rough path, hooves sliding on loose stones. Once they reached the top, Jack slowed the stallion and pulled alongside her. "You holding up?" Eliza tried to steady her breathing. "I'm alive. That's something." He gave a small nod. "Good." But she could see the worry underneath. Not fear for himself, fear for her. The trail curved sharply, opening into a wide stretch of red rock and scattered mesquite. Jack pulled them behind a cluster of low boulders. "We stop here," he said quickly. "Just for a minute." Eliza slid from the saddle, legs weak from hours of riding. Jack's eyes scanned the horizon. He listened more than he looked. She noticed the way his hand hovered near his Colt, ready at a breath's notice. "How long have you been watching Dry Creek?" she asked. He didn't look at her. "Long enough." "Long enough for what?" "To know they were planning to hang you." She stared at him. "So you didn't just appear out of nowhere?" "No." "You planned everything?" "Yes." "Why?" Jack turned then, finally meeting her eyes. His were storm gray and full of something she couldn't name. "I didn't want you to die," he said simply. "That's not an answer. It's the only one I have right now." Before she could press further, his gaze shifted sharply toward the canyon. "Mount up, they're closer." Eliza swung onto the mare, and Jack climbed onto the stallion with a smooth, practiced motion. He led them north again, pushing the horses harder. Heat shimmered across the sand. Hours passed. The sun dipped lower. By late afternoon, both horses were shaking with exhaustion. Jack slowed. "We need water." Their path led toward a line of cottonwoods. Shade fell over them like a blessing. A small stream trickled between the rocks. Eliza drank first, cupping water in trembling hands. Jack checked their back trail again. "They're not far." "Then we can't stop," Eliza whispered. "We have to. Not long, but we have to." When the horses finished drinking, Jack guided them into a narrow canyon with high stone walls. The shadows hid them well. Jack tied the horses and motioned for her to sit. "You're shivering," he said. "Cold?" "Fear," she admitted. He sat beside her, not close, but close enough she could feel his heat. "You shouldn't have lied about being my husband," she said softly. "I didn't lie." She jerked her head toward him. "What does that mean?" Jack didn't answer right away. His jaw ticked. His gaze dropped to the dusty ground. "Eliza," he said quietly, "I wasn't hired to save you." She felt her heartbeat slow, as if her body already knew what he was about to confess. "I was hired to find you." Her hands went cold. "Hired by who?" she whispered. "A man out of Fort Worth. Morrison." Her chest tightened. She knew that name. She had tried so hard to forget it. You were hired to kill me?" His silence was answer enough. Eliza rose to her feet, trembling. "All this time? You planned to hand me over?" "No." Jack stood too, hands open. "I rode into Dry Creek to get you out." "Not to hurt you." "But you were supposed to." "I changed my mind." "When?" Her voice cracked. "When did you change your mind?" He took a slow breath. "When I saw you in that saloon," he said. "You weren't like the others he wanted dead. You were—" He stopped, searching for the right words. "You were trying to survive. You were fighting every day. I saw it." Eliza backed away from him. Her legs shook. Her heart felt heavy and bruised. "So you watched me," she whispered, "for days, like a hunter studying prey." "Yes," he said quietly. "At first." "At first?" "Then I saw you lock your door at night because Murphy tried forcing his way in. I saw how tired you were, how scared, and how you never showed it." He stepped closer, not touching her, not daring. "I couldn't kill you. I couldn't hand you over. I burned the message Morrison sent. I rode into Dry Creek because I had one chance to save your life, and I took it." Eliza pressed a hand to her mouth. Her breath came in shallow bursts. Jack's voice dropped lower. "But if you want to leave me now, you can. I won't stop you." She stared at him, at the man who had saved her life, at the man who had been hired to end it. She didn't know what she felt. Anger, fear, gratitude, a strange pull toward him she didn't want to understand. Footsteps echoed through the canyon. Jack froze. "They found us!" Eliza spun toward the sound. Dust rose from the canyon mouth. Shadows moved between the stone. Jack grabbed her arm. "We have to move, now!" Before they could reach the horses, gunfire cracked. Stone chips exploded around them. Jack pushed her behind a boulder. "Eliza, listen!" His voice was steady, too steady. "If I don't make it, you ride north. Don't look back." "No," her voice shook. "I'm not leaving you." Jack looked at her then, really looked, and something in his eyes softened. "We run together," he said, "or not at all." He grabbed her hand. They ran. Bullets chased them like angry bees. Horses screamed. Voices shouted. Eliza didn't know where they were going. She only knew one thing. The man who saved her life was the same man who almost ended it, and she had just chosen to trust him anyway. What happens when two hunted souls stop running and finally face the truth about each other? The canyon twisted sharply, and Jack pulled Eliza into the shadows under a cliff ledge. Gunshots echoed behind them. Voices bounced off the stone. The riders were close. Too close. Jack pressed his back to the cliff wall, breathing hard. "They're spreading out, trying to corner us." Eliza clutched the reins of the stallion. "What do we do?" "We split from the canyon." He pointed toward a narrow crack in the rock. "There's a passage up there, hard climb. They won't expect it." Eliza swallowed hard, then nodded. Jack took the stallion's reins and slapped the horse's flank. "Go!" The stallion thundered away, hooves echoing through the canyon. The riders shouted and chased the horse, thinking Jack and Eliza were still on its back. Jack grabbed Eliza's hand. "Move!" They climbed fast, fingers digging into rough stone, boots slipping. The crack widened near the top into a flat ledge overlooking the valley. From below, they could see Murphy's men racing after the horse, firing blind into dust. Eliza leaned against the rock, gasping. Her dress clung to her, torn and dusty. Jack watched the riders disappear. "They'll circle back when they realize the horse is alone." "So that wasn't to save yourself," she said softly. "That was to save me." Jack didn't look at her. I told you, you didn't deserve to die today." A long silence stretched between them. The sun was sinking now, turning the desert gold and red. The wind carried dust and heat. Finally, Eliza stepped closer. "You said you were hired to find me," she said. "To kill me." His jaw tightened. "Yes, but you didn't. You saved me." "I'm trying to make it right," he whispered. "Why?" she asked. "Why me?" Jack met her eyes, something raw and unguarded showing inside him. "Because you made me remember who I used to be," he said. "Before killing became the only thing I knew, before the world turned me into something hard." She felt her heartbeat shift. Not fear, something else. She looked down at her hands, rough from years of work, still shaking from running, hiding, climbing. She had felt small most of her life. But not now. Not with him. "Jack," she whispered, "I don't want to run anymore." He stepped closer, his voice low and careful. "I won't force you to stay with me. You could leave now. Head north. Start over." "And you?" she asked. He shrugged slightly. "I go where I'm needed, or nowhere at all." Eliza stared at him. This man had risked his life for her, over and over, had ridden all night to save her from the rope, had lied to an entire town to keep her breathing, had turned against the people who hired him because he'd rather die than do the wrong thing. She took a deep breath. "I choose to stay." Jack blinked, like he wasn't sure he heard her right. "You choose this?" he asked quietly. "Me?" "Yes." Before either of them could speak again, a gunshot cracked through the air. Jack jerked, grabbing her and pulling her to the ground. Another bullet hit the stone above them. They came back early. He breathed. "Murphy's not giving up." Eliza crawled beside him. "What do we do now?" Jack scanned the canyon edge. "We make our stand here." He checked his Colt, almost empty. He checked hers. 3 bullets left. Use them only when you must." Eliza tightened her grip. For the first time, she didn't feel fear. She felt steady, ready. Jack moved to the edge of the ledge. "Stay behind me." But she didn't. She moved beside him. The riders appeared below, climbing the rocks. Murphy's voice carried upward. "There she is! Get the girl!" Jack shouted down. "Turn around, Murphy! Last chance!" Murphy laughed. "You ain't scaring nobody. Least of all me!" Murphy fired again. Stone shattered near Jack's head. Eliza felt anger rise hot in her chest, the same anger she'd swallowed for years in that saloon. The same anger she felt when men grabbed her arm, pulled her close, whispered threats. Murphy raised his gun again. Eliza stepped forward. Jack grabbed her arm. "Eliza." "No," she said. "I won't be their victim again." She lifted her Colt. The moment stretched long and quiet. Murphy's shocked expression flickered in the distance. She fired. Murphy screamed and dropped his gun, clutching his shoulder as he tumbled backward down the rocks. The other men scattered, shouting. "Enough!" Jack roared. "Leave her alone or you'll join him!" Murphy's men hesitated. Then one dropped his gun, then another. Then they ran, fleeing down the canyon, leaving Murphy crawling in the dirt. Eliza lowered her Colt slowly, her hands steady. Jack stared at her, amazement written across his face. "You didn't kill him." "He doesn't deserve that from me," she said quietly. "I'm done letting men like him decide my fate." Jack stepped closer, something soft in his eyes. "You saved us." "You saved me first." He touched her face gently, like she was something breakable. But she wasn't. Not anymore. "What happens now?" she whispered. Jack looked out over the desert. "Now we disappear, far from this place. Start somewhere new. If that's what you want." She smiled. A small, brave smile. "It is." Jack let out a slow breath, relief loosening the tension in his shoulders. "Then I swear," he said, voice deep and steady, "wherever we go, whatever comes next, I choose you, Eliza, forever." Her chest tightened, not with fear, but with something warm. "I choose you, too." Quote, the sun dipped below the horizon, the desert quieted. And for the first time in both their lives, they weren't running toward danger. They were running toward a future. Together.